Hi, Mark.
Hey, everybody.
Mark, you have recorded, I don't know, what is it, hundreds, maybe 1,000 videos at this point? How many are we up to?
I think a little over 300.
Okay, 300 videos with homeless people on the street or wherever they are.
Under bridges, in hotels.
You've gone on road trips to meet people. Everywhere you go for conferences like this, you're meeting people.
Yeah.
You've met a lot of people. You've helped share a lot of stories. What have you learned from that about how nonprofits can do good storytelling?
Well, I think it goes right down to the very core that everything communicates. Everything you do, how you answer your phone, how you treat people, how you treat the cab driver, your letterhead, whatever, everything. It's all connected. A lot of people focus on the social media side, but social media is just like one big giant cocktail party. The same human, the way we treat each other online and off, the same rules apply. You know, you quickly find out online who is a jerk and who's nice and who will help you and who's doing good, who's trying to sell you something. I pretty much just focus on helping people, and then the rest happens. One of the things that I do different as a nonprofit is that, and I should step back a little bit, is that in homeless services especially, the general public was getting their information from our marketing materials, which are often presented in almost an entertainment fashion, and we're always presenting trophies, and it's almost 100% spun to raise money. I'm not saying that's bad. You have to fuel the machine to feed people, to house people. I'm not saying that's bad, but people disconnected from that. You know, they said, oh, the Salvation Army's helping homelessness. We don't have to. Look at all the great work the United Way is doing. We don't have to do anything. So I knew there was this very obvious disconnect, that nobody was doing the homeless stories. So Invisible People is stories, raw and edited, of people that are really experiencing homelessness, because we have a lot more work to do. So instead of me talking about homelessness, you hear Jim and Mary and Popcorn and Sam and Carrie, and because, you know, here's the bottom line. You don't need to listen to Mark Horvath. You don't need to listen to some doctor expert from some university who's got all this data about people living on the streets. You need to listen to Carrie Fuller, who's living in her van with her two daughters in Seattle. You know, that's what you need to do.
Right. So if you've made a couple hundred videos, how many people have you actually approached? So sort of, how many people turn you down? How often do you have to ask before you get permission?
Well, first off, it's a respect thing. The number one thing that I do is respect everybody. It's interesting that, you know, people ask, well, a very similar question. If I walked into a camera into the nicest restaurant or into the nicest mall, half the people would run and half the people would run towards the camera. There's something about humans that if our hair's not done right, or if we got broccoli in our teeth, we don't want to go on camera. And that's human, and you respect everybody, never force it. So I asked them, you know, hey, you want to tell your own story raw and unedited? To be completely honest, the stories that I don't get are really the most powerful ones. But you have to respect everybody. I never put anybody that has severe mental illness or that's severely drunk or on drugs, intoxicated, just out of a respect thing, because I don't want to be on YouTube when I'm drunk. I wouldn't want, you know, put somebody else up there.
Right.
And to be quite honest, you know, we're here in the Tenderloin of San Francisco right now, and you know, you see lots of homeless people on the street, and it's, you know, the drunk homeless people and the chronic homelessness, and the reality is that's a small percentage of homeless. You know, that's only about 20%. The rest you don't see. They're, you know, hard-working people that just are trying to get out of their situation, that just don't have the opportunities, and they fight every day to get out of their situation. Wonderful, gorgeous people.
What's your favorite interview question to get someone to talk?
Well, you know, I I just open it up. It's not really the question, it's listening. Larry King kind of ruined me a long time ago. I used to really listen to Larry King when I was going to sleep, and he said he never did research. Like sometimes he'd interview people and he hadn't read the book or seen the movie, but he was curious and he listened. So one thing I learned as a television producer is listening. So often you'll go in and you'll have a topic you need to talk about, obviously homelessness, and they'll go on a rabbit trail, in fact, and that might be better than your original agenda. So you really have to be flexible in your interviews, and you really have to be listening and engage them. And kind of like what I'm doing now is mirror the emotions. My branded question, and I'll tell you a little story behind that, is what are your 3 wishes? And I used to use that as a television producer when an interview went dry, when people were like, they weren't into it anymore. I would, or they couldn't concentrate. I would just throw that in there to make it light, because often I'm interviewing people in horrible situations, it really was something that would change the interview back around. So I started it a little bit, and then I was speaking at the University of Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas. And it was a giant amphitheater outdoors. And I didn't know this was happening, but behind the scenes, the person that had organized the event had everybody fill these giant white cards with their 3 wishes. So when I was done speaking, it was one of the highlights of my life. When I was done speaking, which was really great because there was homeless people in the audience, which I love, and they started to heckle me. To be honest, but I knew what they were doing. They were speaking out of their pain, but the whole town was there, and the mayor was there, and it was awkward. Oh my gosh, it just felt awkward. So I invited them down, and I interviewed them live like I do on TV. And I mean, from that, a farm was started. Actually, from that event, a housing program was started and a farm that's feeding 150 people a week. So anyways, at the very end, the organizer of the event walks up and he says, "We're not done, Mark. We have a present for you." And all the people in this outdoor amphitheater, around 400, 500 people, hold up these big white cards with their 3 wishes. And I went, oh wow, this is really powerful, and people are connecting to these 3 wishes. So now I end all the videos by asking people what their 3 wishes. And it's really interesting because people connect to that, because they're saying, yeah, occasionally people want to win the lottery. I want to win the lottery, that's only human. But majority of it is, I need a job, for good health and for my family.
Thanks so much, Mark.
Well, thank you.
Check out invisiblepeople.tv.